Need high-quality video to promote your event, business, or band? We can help.
We're Pixel Pond, a video production team based in the Pacific Northwest, providing high-quality content to clients across the U.S. and Canada.
Whether you want coverage of your live event to promote for next year, or need a camera and a camera operator for your next big project, we can accommodate projects of all sizes.
Your story is important. Visit pixelpondllc.com or send an email to info@pixelpondllc.com to get started today. We can't wait to work with you.
Coming up on Gamers Week podcast. Next up, Discord has added a new age verification system for some users that requires them to scan their face or ID to access sensitive material. The new process, which Discord describes as an experiment, is currently active in the UK and Australia in response to recent decisions made by local governments to restrict children from accessing sensitive material online.
I posted on Blue Sky that this was going to be one of the topics this week, and Malgak replied, "Does the scan have to be of your face?"
Let's see, how many wrinkles in the ball sack? It looks like an old oak tree.
What tone is the hair? How much gray is in there?
Is that a white hair on his balls? Yeah, he's old enough. Let's go.
It's not crunchy peanut butter.
I like crunchy peanut butter. It is the superior peanut butter.
Ugh, no.
Do you like pulpy orange juice?
Yes.
See? So you're a hypocrite.
Has nothing to do with the other one.
Right. Like that.
Yes, it does. Do you
You're
want
so
extra,
full of shit.
Do you want extra stuff in your stuff?
I'm selective of the stuff in my stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Chunks of the original stuff in the processed stuff.
I just feel like, crunchy peanut butter is just like, hey, we just stopped. We got lazy. We just didn't make the rest of it.
Is pulpy orange juice not that way?
I feel
You're
like
not wrong.
you have to remove the pulp from orange juice. And crunchy peanut butter, it's already there, and it's just you haven't finished.
Yeah, you just stopped halfway.
Yeah.
So like,
I
shift's
think
over.
it's,
Like, okay.
It's a shrine to laziness, is all I'm saying.
Isn't peanut butter, in a way, jarred peanut butter, a shrine to laziness?
Yes, absolutely.
So there you go.
All right.
About ready to start this bad boy?
Let's do it.
Hello, everybody.
Jesus.
What was
Scared the crap out of me.
So we'll let the chat decide. Is chunky or crunchy peanut butter, chunky peanut butter, is that just laziness? Do you prefer creamy or chunky?
I think a little chunk is nice. A little chunk of
A little chunk in the trunk?
I'm telling you, it's creamy peanut butter master race.
So Agent Nil says creamy. TCan85 said love chunky as a kid, but creamy the way to go now. LaShorty Games is creamy. Webhead is the only one on my side with the chunk-a-lunk.
Yep.
See, Puzzle says she likes it both ways. Crunchy and creamy. And Zach says creamy is my jam, but nothing wrong with the chunk.
Absolutely nothing wrong with the chunk. I just prefer creamy.
Fair enough.
I was going to say that, but I'm not going to do that. Anyway, welcome to Gamers Week Podcast, episode 161. People, if we're on the topic of peanut butter, if you know what movie I'm thinking of, then you've got my...
It's your dog.
Yeah, it's not cheating because it's your dog.
Thank you, Ryan. But it's your dog. Welcome to Gamers Week Podcast. Like the name says, we analyze the best, worst, and weirdest headlines of the past week in the video game industry.
This is why we can't have nice things.
What? Because of pop culture? I didn't come up with that.
Because everything has to go to something gross.
Yeah. This is episode 161, and today is Wednesday, April 16th, 2025. My name is donniegretro, and I will be your lovely host this evening. But as you can see, I am not alone. My first co-host needs a solid investor to help get our personal brand of make-your-own-person science kits off the ground and into production. Say hello to Blue Williams, a.k.a. wrytersview. Blue, how are you doing this evening?
You know, considering the amount of nerdy science-ness that goes on in the Discord, I can't believe that I'm being judged for the rabbit hole I went down.
You know, I feel like Blue has made a lot of entrepreneurial, we'll say, ventures, right? She got this one this week. The other week, she was coming up with Necrome dolls.
Yeah.
You know, you got to maximize the income. That's what all the self-made millionaires say. Got to maximize the income.
Diversify.
Yeah.
You got to diversify your bonds. So when are you going on Shark Tank then?
I need to find the right partner for this particular venture because I'm not able to make the sample myself.
Oh, God. On that note, my second co-host is questioning his life in its meeting after news was discovered that an N64 was recently found under the pyramids of Giza. Ryan? Say hello to Ryan Payne, a.k.a. retrogamebrews. Ryan, how are you doing this evening?
All of my trips that I had planned to go to Egypt have been canceled, sir. Out of principle. Out of principle.
Well, you know, because clearly the aliens put it there. So now you have to boycott all the aliens as well.
You know, I feel like I'm good on that one.
It's like, I want to know, is there a higher power? What happened before? And you see this and you're like, nope, this, nope.
Could be at the pearly gates and like, Ryan, all you have to do is play the N64 and you're in.
I'd rather go to hell. Let's go ahead and jump into the reviews, reactions, and requests. Revy says, at first I thought I'd go all in on Switch 2 at launch. Then I sat down and added up the cost for everything. And of course, the possible element of $80 games, it'll be pricey. When you can grab a Series S for under $300 and get me Game Pass for $20 a month, the Switch 2 is a hard sell for budget gamers.
He's not wrong.
No.
And to be honest with you, there's a lot of really great stuff that's on Game Pass right now. And if you've got a PC, you don't even have to sign up with a console with that too. So if you've already got the PC, you're good to go. All you
I would
need
say
is a decent controller.
That's what I was going to say. At this point, you just get yourself a pretty good PC, a controller, and Game Pass, and you don't even have to have a console.
Right.
And then not to mention with Steam and all that stuff too. So there you go. Arcade Main says, since you guys were talking about Pizza Hut, I'm surprised you didn't mention that prior to his stint at Nintendo, Reggie Fils-Aimé's big claim to fame was in fact launching the Bigfoot pizza for Pizza Hut.
I did not know that.
I did not know that either. That's pretty cool. And you see, Donnie, when you said that the Bigfoot pizza was Little Caesars, you insulted Reggie on a personal level.
Donnie, is your body ready?
Is my body ready for Reggie Fils-Aimé's Pizza by the Foot or Bigfoot Pizza? I don't know. I don't think I have a big enough box for that. And Wizard of Zardoz says, listening to the most recent episode and the discussion about bad movie theater experiences, it reminded me about the worst one I ever had. The wife and I were out at a late show, and the theater only had about 12 people in it. Just a few seats over from us was a couple. And the woman was giving the man a very vigorous hand. Even worse, the movie was The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
Yeah, read the room there.
Right.
Now, I've never seen The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
Oh, my God.
Heard about it. I've heard there's a particular scene in there, like a torture scene. Mm-hmm. And maybe that was their kink. And they were like, just like, that's.
In that case, I'm not sitting down the same row from them. But Vigorous Handy is the name of Donnie's one-hit wonder rap single from 1993.
Step off, y'all. It's a Vigorous Handy. Like, what?
Do the pump to pump.
Watch me do the pump-de-pump.
Oh, we have too much fun on this show.
All right, let's go ahead and jump over to our patron shoutouts.
All right. Well, we couldn't do what we do without the help of our gorgeous patrons. Here are the generous folks supporting Gamers Week on Patreon. Love Retro BTW, Steven Tan, Ramboski, Terry Canal, Terry Canair.
Now again.
Tongue twister, I'm telling you. Agil 3030, Don't Make Me Pull This Car Over, Games with Coffee, Hybrid Divide, You Fall Before Me, Davey PGH, The Pixel Pond Family, including Shannon and Luke, Zach Huge Thanks, Puzzle Butter, Number One Blue Six Boys Fan, John Barron, said it right this time, Sassy Sony, Evo Lust, Rai Wants the Boy's Soul, Mega Retro Man, Gamatroid, Moradib, Michael, Cobra Assault Cannon, State of the Art, Bang Bang, Lakite, Emo-esque, Bill Tucker, The Real Retro Game Brews, Fruitcakes, Pickle Pepper, Ducks with Thick Thighs, absolutely the best podcast, a work in progress, Wizard of Zardobs, Bobson Dugnut, Blues Little Sis, Loud Moth, Retro Blast Pat, BNT Zilla Guy, The Mad Milkman, Seven Castle Forest, Crunchy Kong, Sheriff's Next, and Frank Grande. If you like what you hear today, we really hope you do. Please consider joining us on Patreon. Your support helps cover the cost of producing the show, as well as cool stuff we'll be doing like prizes and giveaways. You also gain access to our bi-weekly patron-only bonus cast, Gamers Week Uncut, patrons with benefits. Visit patreon.com/gamersweek or follow the link in the show notes to learn more.
I can't see in the chat says, on the matter of pizzas, growing up, our nearby Kmart used to have a Little Caesars in back. We used to go get pizza, then browse the nearby Blockbuster on Friday nights. And that sounds like the perfect 90s Friday night.
Yeah. And I remember when Little Caesars were inside Kmart's. And then they started branching out and being their own little standalone place. And then kind of like Chick-fil-A, back in the 90s, they were only in malls. And then they're like, whoop, let's branch out. We can have our own little restaurant. So.
I'm okay if we switch this podcast to 90s fast food.
Do you guys want to do like a branch off?
A limited series of just 90s nostalgia for fast food and snacks. That could work, actually.
You know what I do? 2 podcasts at the same time, man.
Same time. Well, we already do.
3 podcasts. There's nothing wrong with that one.
Now it's getting a little ambitious. Are you sure you can satisfy all the podcasts?
It'll be a tough job, but I'm a trooper.
Whole episode of Taco Bell introduces the fire sauce. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Let's do
Back
it.
before the world really knew what hot sauce was.
Yeah.
At least in America.
What the hell's a Scoville?
That's someplace in South Carolina, I think.
All right, let's go ahead and take a look at our headlines.
All right. Our headline segment is proudly sponsored by the Retro Game Club podcast. It's a fantastic, family-friendly retro gaming podcast. In each episode, Rob picks 2 games to play and discuss, as well as news, interviews, and other topics. Right now, they're playing through Shadow of the Colossus. Visit them at retrogameclub.net or follow the link in the show notes.
Admittedly, I have never played Shadow of the Colossus.
It's a good game. It's tough to play only because the graphics. I feel like it's that whole PS2 N64 era where you're trying to figure out where things begin, where things end. The lighting isn't all that great, and I have a hell of a time. And I know they remastered it. I would love to go back and play it whenever they remastered it.
I'm sorry, I can't just let it slide though that you put the PS2 and the N64 on the same level.
I know, but hey, they're the same. The N64, the PS1, and even the PS2 had some games that were blocky that you couldn't really see.
Yeah, but they were a world above the PS1 games.
Doongie, that's not a skill issue. Be quiet. And what I was going to say is that on Rob's previous episode of the Retro Game Club podcast, he had Keith Coogan, actor Keith Coogan from Don't Tell Mama the Babysitter's Dead and Adventures in Babysitting. And apparently Keith Coogan is a retro freak, a retro video game freak. He knows everything about from the Atari 2600 all the way up to the modern systems and stuff like that. So he had some pretty good stories to tell on Rob's last episode.
The dishes are done, man.
Exactly. So in this week's headlines, Last November, two Californians filed a lawsuit against Ubisoft due to the publisher's shutdown of The Crew in April 2024, which left players unable to access even the single-player portion of this online-only racing game. Ubisoft has now filed a response to the lawsuit and makes multiple claims as to why the suit should be dismissed, including that the plaintiffs knew what they were getting into because of the explicit warnings on The Crew's packaging that plaintiffs were obtaining a limited license to access the game. The Xbox and PlayStation packaging contain a clear and conspicuous notice, in all capital letters, that Ubisoft may cancel access to one or more specific online features upon a 30-day prior notice. The filing states, Ubisoft's closure of The Crew has already had an effect on lawmakers. In response to the game's shutdown and the outrage that followed, the state of California proposed a new law requiring game sellers to provide clear and conspicuous warnings to consumers that the games they purchase could be taken away at any time. After making their purchases, plaintiffs enjoyed access to The Crew for years before Ubisoft decided in late 2023 to retire and shut down the servers of the 10-year-old video game, the filing states. Plaintiffs received the benefit of the bargain and cannot complain now that they were deceived simply because Ubisoft did not then create an offline version of the discontinued video game.
They knew what they were getting into.
Yeah.
They bought their tickets. I say, let them crash.
Yeah, the whole thing of get used to not owning your games. Now it's a defense that you can use in court. And it's funny because it says the packaging contains a clear and conspicuous notice in all capital letters. And then the article contained a photo of the back of the box of The Crew. And it is this absolute wall of text. And even knowing that it was there somewhere, I had to scan really hard to find it. Yeah, we all know it. We've had this discussion a gazillion times about if it's an online game, they can take it away from you at any point. You don't actually own shit. But maybe not everybody in the general public has put two and two together like that.
To your point, Blue, I think there is this inherent trust, right? That when you purchase a game, it'll be available to you when you want to play it. And, we know better. We've obviously experienced a lot of news stories like this, but to your point, the general public doesn't. They have this innate trust to say, okay, well, if I purchase something, I'll be able to use it in perpetuity. The question, though, is that the responsibility of Ubisoft to create an online version for a game or an offline version for a game that is discontinued?
No, and likely because they loved the game as it was enough to sue when it went down, they wouldn't be satisfied with an offline version anyway, because You're not going to matchmake with anybody.
Right. I would love there to be an option for gamers to be able to purchase a server or purchase access to a server of some kind so that games like this, they could just go to Ubisoft and say, hey, we would like the rights to this game. Could you provide us with all the information from the server? We'll take it over. We'll run it. And I don't know.
Crowdfund a server, essentially.
Essentially, yeah. Crowdfund a server.
That would be tough.
It would be difficult. There would be a lot of logistics to it. But I'm trying to think of what are amicable solutions that would work for everybody. That's one of the first things that comes to mind, but this has been done before. I do know that, especially with PC games and that kind of stuff. But I think it's a little bit more difficult when we're talking about console because you need access to that. There's, I'm assuming, a butt ton of licenses that would be involved with it.
Mm-hmm.
But still, there's got to be a better way than just, hey, you have a great day.
It's a double-edged sword when you say, well, hey, you should know that this has a 10-year lifespan, okay? And realistically, if you spend $60 on a game and you get 10 years of gameplay out of it, I think maybe you don't have a lot to be upset about.
But Ubisoft didn't stop at $60.
No, they did not. They probably charged them continuous monies and whatnot. But if that's all you spent, which was $60, I think I would probably be leaning more towards not being upset. But then again, you still have the aspect of they're taking away something that you purchased. It's a game that you love, that you paid for. And now they're like, nope, yoink, it's gone.
Gaming Again says, why do companies make it so hard to like them? And that's kind of the thing is when Assassin's Creed Shadows came out and Ubisoft's on Twitter going head to head with Elon Musk and making Elon look like an idiot, which, is not that hard, but everybody was like, yeah, Ubisoft, that's so great. Now I'm going to buy Assassin's Creed Shadows and I'm going to support them because they're going against Elon. And it almost was enough to make people forget for a little bit that Ubisoft is still a company all on their lonesome. And they do stuff like this, like get used to not owning your games, which honestly, I think it's great, Ryan, for brainstorming about what is a solution that makes everybody happy. But I think these things are incompatible. Ubisoft creates these games with an endpoint in mind. And when it's past its shelf life, they plan on shutting it down. There's just no way, I think, to get around this other than to have people understand that you don't own the game.
Well, and I think one of the things that we can do as gamers is if you recognize there's a game out there that's multiplayer only, don't fall into the FOMO, vote with your dollars, and decide to skip it.
Yeah, or enjoy the experience that you have, and when it's gone, it's gone.
Right.
Don't know what you've got till it's gone. Deacon85 says, I have not heard a single tear shed for the ownership of the shares of stock in these companies. That's the only ownership that matters here. And that's 100% correct. It's the bottom dollar for shareholders and how they can keep getting money out of your wallet into their coffers for the specific game. So once that game has run its course, once they see they're not making any more money from it and it's costing them money to keep it up and active for their players, they're going to pull the plug on it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Though apparently, like the article says, there was a big enough uproar that California decided to change their laws because of it. Now, maybe that's because there actually was enough people upset, or maybe it's some lawmaker's kid just wouldn't stop bitching and fine, I'll make a law if you'll shut up.
Yeah.
But couldn't have been that many people that upset if the game was still profitable. Or it could have been that because the Crew 2 exists, Ubisoft is just trying to shut this one down and funnel people that way, because lots of companies do that.
It's like what the Switch 2 will be doing shortly.
Yep. Yep, pretty much. I mean, Nintendo let the servers for Mario Kart Wii, I think, go for a real long time. But they did eventually shut them down. And I wonder how long they'll maintain servers for Mario Kart 8.
Right. But that's a game you can actually still play offline. You can play by yourself, single player, and you're not going to get the same experience as you would with multiplayer.
That's what I was going to say, is the game is a shadow of itself without the online experience.
Right.
And I'm sure that this was the same.
If you were able to play the Crew offline, locally multiplayer, that you should still be able to do that and not just lose the game completely.
But is it their responsibility to create another version of the game that's not going to be profitable for them? It's actually going to cost them money to do it.
No, they should have thought about that at the exact same time that they rolled the game out. Made two options: an offline single player or offline local multiplayer, and connected to the internet multiplayer. Which
again is why I'm saying don't fall into the FOMO that every gamer does, who says, oh, I'm not going to buy this, but everybody else is playing it, so I got to buy it now. But with your dollars. Don't buy a game that you know has an expiration date.
TK85 says, hopefully it's not a shadow of the Colossus of itself, for Donnie's sake. I'll see myself out.
Nice Grandma Boys reference.
Adios, turd nuggets. Next up, Discord.
No,
go ahead.
No, my watch just went, Grandma Boys quotes?
Shut up, Siri. Not now. But later. Definitely later.
I got it. They got me a CB radio so I can talk to other card beds. Next up, Discord has added a new age verification system for some users that requires them to scan their face or ID to access sensitive material? What the shit? The new process, which Discord describes as an experiment, is currently active in the UK and Australia in response to recent decisions made by local governments to restrict children from accessing sensitive material online. According to Discord, users will be given 2 verification options. The first asks them to scan their face using their webcam or phone camera and following the on-screen instructions to submit their age. Alternatively, they can use their mobile device to scan a QR code, which takes them to a page where they can take a photo of an ID document, such as their passport or driving license, and submit this to Discord. According to Discord, this automated process typically takes just a few minutes, whereas age verification online has generally been a case of the user entering their date of birth. In recent years, governments have noted that this provides little to no protection to children online, who can just enter a fake date of birth to proceed. Last year, Australia's parliament became the first country to pass a law banning social media for children under 16. The ban, which still is to come into effect, requires tech companies to take reasonable steps to prevent underage users from gaining access to such sites. Discord's new age verification appears to be a direct reaction to the decisions made by Australia and the UK, meaning if other countries follow suit with similar restrictions, users in those countries can expect to face similar checks. Here's the thing I don't get. How are you going to prove that that child is who they say they are with that face that they're using? They can have an AI-generated face. They could be using one of their friends' faces, and all of a sudden they start accessing this sensitive material, and it's like, oh, we got this kid's picture. Whoop, let's go to his house and yada, 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 yank him out and all that stuff. Well, that's not the kid. This is the kid.
Well, Sanity in the chat says, oh, now my kids can't access horny jail when they become patrons.
We should put a 18 plus
18 plus requirement for patrons.
Patreon.
Yeah. I kind of assumed that Patreon might have that already, but you know what? Maybe we should specify.
And Doongie Forever is kissing Blue's ass by saying, oh, now Blue won't be able to access Discord. She looks too young.
I mean, you're just jealous.
Butt kisser.
I mean, I will say that this is just an experiment in Australia and the UK, but speaking as some in the UK, that's what we call it now, the UK. But speaking as someone who lives in a state now where you have to do stuff like this to access online porn, this could totally happen here.
I just don't like the idea that there's a database out there that has a picture of my face without me volunteering it. You know, I guess like making it a requirement. I don't know. And then having to put my ID in it like that just, there's a lot of problems with that hacking, whatever. Right. And not only that is you're holding on to stuff that could potentially be minors as well. So that's a whole nother can of worms that you'd be looking at.
Well, remember we talked about it. It might have been a year or even 2 ago. I think it was the ESA who was going to implement similar such technology for the purchase of mature rated games online. You were going to have to do a face scan to prove how old you were.
I don't remember who that was.
I think it was the ESA, but I won't take time to scroll through the old episodes now. But anyway.
And they were doing that in China too, right? About the whole, like, you can't game past this time at night or whatever, or you can only game this a certain amount of time. And they were using facial recognition surgery. Oh, sorry.
He's like, can you change my nose? Because I really got to finish this quest, but I'm out of hours this week.
I don't know. This is just like, it's problematic. You're opening up Pandora's box with this one, I think. But I get it. I get the desire to try to be friendlier to kids. I really do. And I think we've had this discussion before where we've often said it's good to have guardrails, but ultimately it's the role of your parent, of the child's parents, to be the one who makes decisions as to the content they see and why. Well,
and I think, though, that there's a tendency to use a nuke it from orbit strategy when you're trying to protect one group, and then you end up like, let's just violate everyone's privacy. Mm-hmm. So in the name of protecting this one smaller group of people.
And Simon Asht here raises a question. How long before the scheduled hack, which sends all our personal info out into the dark web? It happens every Christmas to Sony when all the new PlayStations are gifted. And he's not wrong. I don't like the fact of one company having my sensitive information. And the the plethora of hacks and information leaks and all of that shit that happened. And now all my stuff is out there, and I have to be the one that's responsible for cleaning all that shit up. And now you've got my face that's out there,
Right.
where people know, like, oh, so now you can take this guy's face, make an ID with it. See, I got a valid ID. It's my information. It's my face or whatever.
Webhead says, so face scan, ID scan, third-party verification. Okay, done. Now can I post a pic of stacked Easter eggs that look like dildos?
Sanity says, oh man, imagine having a special face cam on your PC to unlock it for gaming, like the breathalyzer to start up your car after your 4th DUI.
None of us would know about that.
Puzzle Petter says, my 15-year-old has more facial hair than most adults. He's going to pass.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. 'Cause you're correct about the hacks that go on. And so in a lot of ways, you'd say, well, I'll just do the face scan. But you're leaving it up to probably what amounts to an AI on the other end, deciding how old you are.
That's the other thing. Like, how are they going to determine that by that picture, how old you are?
It also included, I didn't have space to put it here because this was long enough as it was, but if you disagree with the findings, like you'll have your face scan, it'll be verified. Discord will send you your results of what age group you've been determined to be in. If you disagree, you can try again, or you can apply for manual review.
Okay. I could just imagine somebody in the 90s trying this with one of those old flatbed scanners. Like, you don't have a camera, just put your face up against them, trying to verify your age with that.
That light.
I'm blind.
But it's a retina scan, so you have to keep your eyes open.
Yeah.
The one thing I'm hoping that it doesn't tell you is what age it thinks you are, because I think that would be a big ego slap in the face for me. I want it to be like, hey, over 18. And I don't want to be like, hey, 57.
You're a very young 57. Well, what?
Hold up a picture of Paul Rudd.
A timeless wonder.
Nice, Simon Ashton.
So yeah, not here yet, but I bet you it's on the way.
Saturday says, bring back the age verification quiz like Leisure Suit Larry had to access the game. Johnny Carson was A, a football player, B, my real dad, C, a late night host. Where is D, all the above?
I was lucky that I knew all of those answers and I got to play it.
Nowadays, if your kid's too stupid to figure out they can just Google it, then they probably don't deserve to be looking at the adult content anyway.
Right? They know at that point.
Yeah. Oh, and it was Mogak, because I posted on Blue Sky that this was going to be one of the topics this week. And Mogak replied, does the scan have to be of your face?
See, how many wrinkles in the ball sack? It looks like an old oak tree.
What tone is the hair? How much gray is in there?
Is that a white hair on his balls? Yeah, he's old enough. Let's go. Okay, next up, the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild's divisive weapon durability is getting a workaround, but it's locked to the Nintendo Switch 2 Edition app. In case you somehow missed the next-gen reveal, Nintendo is making dedicated Switch 2 versions of both Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom and letting people pay for an upgrade pack that unlocks access to tech improvements and Zelda Notes, which is included in the Nintendo app. The Zelda Notes app adds a heap of extra features to the two beloved games, like achievements, a GPS map that directs you to secrets, and the ability to share contraptions in Tears of the Kingdom, though you'll have to stare at a second screen to use them. Welcome back, Wii U! In addition, the app contains a daily randomized bonus, which gifts you various boons like health recovery or an extra item. Most interestingly, one of the daily bonuses seen in the slot machine-like wheel was equipment repair. Weapon decay and durability has long been one of the most divisive parts of the two otherwise universally loved games. Introducing weapon repair could probably mess up the game's steady balance, but there's only a chance you'll be able to repair anything once every 24 hours anyway. Gross, Gross, gross. I already dislike the weapon system in Breath of the Wild. That's why I really haven't finished the game. I've kind of just dismissed it. But this is even worse. What are you doing, Nintendo?
That was not the response I expected.
What was the response that you expected?
I don't know, something besides gross.
Jubilation.
Jubilation or revulsion, I don't know, I guess. But I will agree that it feels a little scummy. It feels a little mobile gamey to have to log into the app once a day and spin a wheel to get a mystery prize for the day. Like I already finished Breath of the Wild. I don't need to go back and play it again to do this. I will admit that having achievements does give me like a tiny bit of temptation to go back and see if I could get all the achievements, because I kind of like achievement hunting from time to time. But there's no, if you've already played this, there's no reason to go back and play it again just because there's an app that gives you a little spinny wheel.
But it gives you a very specific heap of extra features.
A heap.
Which reminds me of, do you think it's a plethora?
What is a plethora? El guapo. Could it be that you are taking out your emotions on me because you are turning 40 today? No.
If I didn't have to pay for this, sure, this would be something fun. But I'm not paying to fix an issue that I hate about the game, for one. But two, like, it's almost like it's pay to win mechanics in a way, right? Where it's giving you secrets. It's giving you all this. It's like, hey, I would like to cheat. It's Game Genie, but you got to pay for a specific just one game. I'm sorry. Fuck that.
I mean, you're not wrong. It's one of the top 2 flagship games of the Switch 1. So they thought, what on earth can we do to it to make people buy it again for the Switch 2?
Yeah.
And well, we're going to give it slightly brushed up graphics, and then we'll make an app on the side to put a Band-Aid on this thing that people won't shut the fuck up about.
Myself included.
Yeah, but we're not actually going to improve the game or change it in any way. Doogie says, Breath of the Wild is a perfect game. You all just stopped playing games after the SNES. He's not wrong. Yeah.
The game is great. It's beautiful aesthetically. The combat system is great. Mm-hmm. It's just I cannot stand the fact of like having all of these. Like, oh, I've got another axe. I've got another sword. Okay, I can only use this particular sword so many times before it breaks. Or I can only, and if I'm in the middle of a fight and it breaks and I got to stop and change weapons and then kind of get myself acclimated, at least, I will say this, at least Breath of the Wild gives you the opportunity to do that mid-fight, whereas Elden Ring does not. Like, if you want to try and switch something, if you try to pause it or go into your menu, you're dead. So,
yeah, you want to be hardcore weapon durability in Elden Ring.
No, I would never.
Yeah, if you're a Souls fanboy and you think you're a masochist, oh no, we're going to take it up a level.
Would like to ban From Software from listening to this section of the episode.
From Soft, call me.
No. Can you imagine if you're in the middle of a fight and you've got a shield and you've just taken the 12th hit of the shield and it just breaks and you're like, what the do I do now?
The game's kind of like that already because you'll be in the middle of the fight and you run out of magic. And then you've got to scramble around until you can find time to drink the little flask and get more. Or your endurance is shot and you needed one more roll to get out of the way of that last hit. You ain't have it. So, I mean, it's not that far of a step.
Let's get weapon durability in Warzone. Full Donnie Apocalypse. Shut up, Sanity.
But just a thing, you're buying a Switch 2 version, so you're paying full price for it, potentially $80, and then you're paying for an app. Just clarifying on that.
I don't know if you have to pay for the app.
Okay. I thought it said you have to purchase that.
It might just come with the $20 upgrade to buy the Switch 1 version, and then the $20 like fancy on the top.
Got it.
For the Switch 2. But,
okay.
Yeah.
On the top.
Yeah, on the top.
I still hate this.
You know what? I don't love it. I like the idea of achievements, but I don't love it. I don't like the slot machine, and I'm not going to use the weapon repair anyway. So
it's just too good for weapon repair.
I am. I kind of like that you don't have to think. Like one breaks, just whoosh, next one, grab whatever. It doesn't matter. Just keep swinging.
Can we put a thing down the bottom like a ticker that says Blue doesn't like to think? Like just right in the episode.
I did a lot of thinking on the uncut. Okay.
You did all of your thinking for the week on an episode that
On Monday.
9 people watch. Nice. Well done.
But those 9 people saw, and they know.
Right. Last up, there's a buried Steam help page that shows how much money you've ever spent on the platform, and you probably shouldn't look at it. There's a web tool that estimates the value of your Steam account by looking at all the games you own, but it can't tell you precisely how much you've actually spent on Valve's wallet plundering platform, microtransactions, and all. That potentially startling number is buried in Steam's help menus. Okay. The relevant Steam help page was pointed out recently on Reddit by user Trotsky94. You can find it in the Steam client by navigating to Help, Steam Support, My Account, Data related to your Steam account, External funds used. Once this info hit the internet, the world, of course, all went off to look at their personal totals. A poster in that same Reddit thread shared a total over $26,000.
Wow.
But it's safe to say that record won't stand for long. Last year, a Counter-Strike streamer estimated that the person who currently has the highest Steam account level spent $500,000 to get there. And now I'm curious about what mine is.
So this person who played Counter-Strike, I assume Global Offensive, spent more money than any house that I've ever owned
Yeah.
on one game. That makes me want to vomit.
Was it worth it? Totally.
Totally.
I mean, that's probably some rich asshole to begin with.
I hope, right? I hope this person isn't living like, paycheck to paycheck now because they spent all their money on a fucking video game.
If
I mean,
you
granted,
did,
it's your
oh
money.
well.
Do whatever you want with it. It's just, jeez.
Right.
Oh, God, I'm doing it.
If you're looking to give money away, I accept donations. For only $60 a year, you can become a patron of our show and get more entertainment than you're getting out of CSGO.
Actually, I think it's $50 a year. There's a discount if you pay for the year in advance.
Even better.
Okay, Sam Disfaction says, come on, Ryan. Next thing you'll tell me, you don't want to go to space with your girls with Elon's permit.
Baby, you're a fun. So, Donnie, have you found your total yet here?
So it's asking me to sign in. Hang on a second. Don't remember what I'm signed in. I'm logged in, but it's telling me I have to sign in with my account. What? New password can't be the same as old passwords.
Password is incorrect, but new password can't be the same as old password.
Right.
So I don't fear this. I haven't spent a lot of money on Steam or I've never done microtransactions for a game that wasn't on console. So I would imagine mine is pretty light. It's just mostly full of 18 plus games.
Yes, of course it is. Welcome in Games with Coffee. # drunk coffee is happening. I have had a day.
Uh-oh.
I will drink to that. Yeah, I don't use Steam, as I've said many times. I just don't like PC gaming. Not only can my PC not run anything, but I spend all day at a desk. So when work is over, I don't want to be at a desk anymore. So I go downstairs and play on a console. So my Steam total is probably under $60.
Oh, under $60. Okay.
Yeah, I'm probably in the $200 range for every game I bought. Maybe less.
Donnie?
Saturday says, Donnie, just let Check pick your new password.
Vigorous Handy 69 XXX.
There you go. I was just going to say, I'll let you pick it, but I won't tell you which password I'm going to use.
All right. So I think you've spent $1,200.
No, I think that's lowballing. Overhead the lifetime of Steam.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got kids.
That's a good point.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Something's going on where it's like things are moving really slow. Something's updating. I don't need it to update.
Oh, yeah. I'm getting buffering on the stream.
Abort. We'll do this later.
Yeah. I don't know why it's updating. Pause. Okay. There we go. All right. Tell me if it's better.
Doogie Forever says you only live once, so buy some games. And I don't disagree.
Yeah. I apologize, everybody. I just went in and tried to look at my Steam stuff. And whenever I logged in, it said, oh, you want to update these games? No, I don't.
Too late, f***er, we're doing it.
Right. Hope you weren't using your computer for anything else. Anyway, we'll have to update at a later date. Maybe we'll make that a poll. Like, give your guess of what Donnie's total is, and then we'll have him post it.
I have my total. If you guys want to know it.
Oh, okay. Wait. My guess is 4,600.
Ryan, what's your guess?
1,200 is what I'm going to go with.
1,200? Okay. It is $1,100.
Damn it. You're such a cheapskate.
What?
Over the lifetime of your Steam account?
Yeah, come on, get good.
With
This is a skill
kids?
issue.
Yeah, with kids. I've got a family account. I'll buy him, I'll buy a game that I want, and I'm like, oh, okay, then I'll just share it through the family thing. So I don't have to buy 2 copies of the same damn game.
Open up that wallet, Dad. Jeez.
No, that wallet stays Trump tight. Locked up tight, baby. Blue is moving, but everybody else froze.
Well, as long as we
Weird.
got blue.
Yeah, as long as you have me. You should have put that on the bingo card. Games with coffee. Technical difficulties.
I'm the next contestant on the Price is Right. Technically, I went over, so I would have lost if we're doing it. I should have said $1.
There you go. I win.
You went over too.
Yeah, but you went over
Way
first.
more.
You went over
Oh.
first.
Let's change the rules of a game show that's been around since the 60s.
Right?
I could use some updating by now, don't you think?
Agent Nil said, I can never let my wife see this total.
Just close the page. Doesn't exist.
Right.
All right. So we want to jump into our top 3 new releases?
Let's do it.
Sure.
All right. First up is Rusty Rabbit, which that's a name.
Is that a move?
Exactly.
Give her the old rusty rabbit.
Yeah, exactly. Humankind abandoned Earth as it entered another ice age. Over time, those who came to hold dominion over the world were rabbits. Stamp, a grump middle-aged rabbit, pilots a trusty mech junkster through the giant ruins of a frozen world in this side-scrolling action-adventure. Next up is Mandragora, Whispers of the Witch Tree, PS5, Xbox Series X and S, PC. Slay your way in Mandragora, Whispers of the Witch Tree, an epic action RPG in a dark fantasy world. Battle monsters across 40-plus hours, story, master 6 unique classes, craft hundreds of useful items, and explore the secrets of an expansive, not expensive, interconnected world. And last up, Lunar Remastered Collection, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. Tag along on Alex and Hero's Quest and challenge enemies like the Magic Emperor and God of Destruction to save the world from dire peril in 2 adventures set 1,000 years apart from each other. Embark on the iconic adventure of Lunar 1 and Lunar 2 with remastered features such as widescreen layout, enhanced sound and graphics, updated character portrait sprites, menu icons, and more. If nostalgia is what you crave, switch it over to classic mode and experience retro visuals with a 4:3 screen ratio, original cutscenes, effects and icons, 3 CRT filter options, and more. So taking a look at this week, Blue, what are you in for?
This is one of those special weeks, those special magic weeks when I could play any of these.
Knew it.
So Rusty Rabbit, I think we saw this trailer. It might have been Summer Game Fest or something, but it's like a bunch of cute little bunnies, but they've got attitude and he's so grumpy and blah, blah, blah. And the gameplay when he sits in his little mech suit and then suddenly it turns into a side-scrolling, like Metroidvania-looking game, I thought it looked cool as hell. But then I kind of forgot about it. And then when I just was scrolling through the releases of the week and I saw the cover art, I was like, nope. Kept on scrolling because it just looked like some cutesy little cozy game for kids. And then there weren't very many other releases. So I looked at it again and I was like, oh yeah, I wanted to play this. So watch a trailer. Don't just look at the cover art because it's super misleading. Then Mandragora, this looks like another one of those indie games, and I don't even know what you would call it, some kind of subgenre, but it's along the lines of like Blasphemous and Ender Lilies, where it's like they take the the darkness and the brutalness of a Souls game, and then they turn it into a 2D side scroller Metroidvania where it's super difficult and everything is dark and dreary and creepy, and I love those games. So this looks like another one of those. Very excited to do that. And then the Lunar Remastered Collection, it looks so cool. I love that you have a choice between the remastered and the classic graphics. I've never played this series before. I missed them when I think they were PlayStation before. Didn't have a PlayStation until recently, so.
And Sega CD.
Yeah, and Sega CD, which I never had either. So I would get any of these. Not even sure which one I would get first.
Nice. Donnie, what about you?
Sandy says, last night was wild. Gave her the old Bolivian sandpaper move, followed by the Nip Nip special, then finished with the Rusty Rabbit. I am with Blue. I think any one of these games this week would probably be a worthy buy. Rusty Rabbit, just like Blue, you look at it, it's initially like, oh, it's a cute little rabbit with attitude. Like, what is this, Conker's Bad Fur Day? And then you start looking at the gameplay, and it's platformer. It's basically all it is a platformer. It looks awesome. So I could get into that one. Mandragora, again, looks like a side scroller Metroidvania game, and dark, super dark. And it's right up my alley with the way it looks and the way it plays. And then Lunar Remastered Collection. I have never played the Lunar games, just like Blue. I don't own them on the PS1 or the Sega CD. I know it's a travesty and everything, but they're just way too expensive. And I could emulate them, but I think with having the classic remastered versions available on the Switch to play, I'm probably going to pick it up. Hopefully it's, maybe not on launch, but wait for like a sale or something like that where I can get them a little bit cheaper. But realistically, any of these games I could pick up and play this week. I'm just not sure what the costs are.
Mm-hmm. Games with Coffee says the first Lunar game was also on GBA, but it was a weak port, to be honest.
Ooh, Game Boy Advance. Okay. Ryan, what about you? What are you picking up this week?
So Mandragora, Souls-like Metroidvania, crafting.
We're just missing fishing before he's 100% out.
So yeah, I'm out on that one. Even though I will say it looks really cool.
The visuals look awesome.
Yeah, it reminded me a lot of Symphony of the Night, I got to be honest with you. Bosses are enormous compared to your sprite as well, which I thought was pretty cool. But yeah, the gameplay, that's a hard no for me. Rusty Rabbit looks super fun. Super, super fun. It's a little bit of that Metroidvania style, kind of almost like Hollow Knight, where it requires a lot of platforming. So that scares me a little bit, but
come on, you're a big boy.
I'm really not. More ways than one. And so as far as things go, it's something where I'm curious about, but I think for me too, I'm looking for games for my PS5 that I can kind of get into. So this might be one of those ones that if I see it in the store, I will pick it up for sure. Which leaves me with Lunar Remaster Collection. I am absolutely getting this. I have always wanted to play the Lunar games, but they're very expensive. So to get the originals, it's hundreds of dollars. So yeah, this is a great opportunity to pick this up on Switch and find out if the hype truly matches what the actual game is. I'm not going to be putting it in 4:3 ratio, though. I don't really care.
The magic has passed for those days.
Right. I have no nostalgia for the game, so I'm just going to play it like, the people who put time and money into making this remastered, I'm going to give them their credit and their due. But yeah, Lunar, I am 100% picking this up. In fact, I am going to, after we're done here, see where I can pick it up physical if they're making it. And yeah, go from there.
Probably limited run.
Probably.
All right, before we move on, let's take a quick break to talk about our sponsor. This segment is proudly sponsored by A Gamer Looks at 40 podcast. The show explores the history of video games through the stories and experiences of the people who lived it. This week, Bill is joined by Julian Titus of the Stage Select podcast to discuss Demon's Crest, an unsung treasure of the late SNES library that features tight gameplay, a banger soundtrack, and top-flight visuals. Why don't more people talk about this game? So this week's question is, what's a retro title that most people know little about, but you consider yourself an expert on? Let Bill know your answer by sending him a tweet at A Gamer Looks at 40 on Twitter and Blue Sky. Now, I will admit this is a difficult question considering the circles we run in, because everybody knows all the obscure things. But in general, what would you say?
I would say for Donnie, it's probably Night Trap, right?
It's not really well, I'm not sure if people know very little about Night Trap. Like, do they know about the gameplay? Do they know about the storyline and all that stuff? Do they know about what happened in the news with Night Trap and what it caused, what happened with it? I'd say Night Trap is probably one, but Shadowrun for the Super Nintendo was also another one.
Great game that
I can really talk about ad nauseum and I know a lot about. So, I'm going to go with those two, Night Trap and Shadowrun.
I'm going to say for me, it's Sim Tower. I don't hear many people talking about that game.
I'm shocked that nobody talks about that game.
I'm so good at that game. I got to be honest. 100% next one. So.
Nice. Agent Nil says Clash at Demon Head. I freaking love that game. And Sam Disfaction says Dungeon Keeper 2. Wish more people knew about that game and we had a new one. So for me, I'm actually going to say Solomon's Key 2, a.k.a. Fire and Ice, as it's known here in North America. Okay. So I don't know if I'm going to call myself an expert, but I played all 100 levels, beat all 100 levels in the main game. Then it unlocks a code where you get 50 more like secret levels, and then you get the true ending where the little wizard gets the kiss from the princess or whatever. So I did that. I got a kiss from the princess.
She did it all for the nookie.
Is there a better reason to do it?
All right. Well, thank you for coming, students. Please take your seats. Welcome to a new segment called Professor Rybread's Nerd History 101, where we'll be discussing interesting nerds from throughout history. And in today's lesson, we'll be discussing the nuclear Boy Scout, David Hahn, whose curiosity and ambition led to a cautionary tale and the development of a makeshift nuclear reactor. So David Hahn was born in 1976 in Shelbytown, Michigan, and was not your, we'll say, ordinary teenager. His obsession with science, particularly chemistry and nuclear physics, set him apart from his peers. With other kids played sports or other hobbies, Hahn was experimenting with volatile compounds, unknowingly setting himself down a path towards one of the most shocking backyard science experiments in history. His passion for chemistry began when he received the Golden Book of Chemistry Experiments, which, by the way, was published in like the 1950s. It was a guide filled with thrilling and dangerous science experiments, so dangerous, in fact, that it was banned from many schools. Hahn, however, absorbed its contents vigorously and pushed his experiments further into the dangerous territory. So by age 14, he was creating explosive, volatile reactions and even dangerous chemical compounds in his bedroom. And his family, repeatedly unsettled by unexpected explosions, but instead of discouraging him, they just moved him from the bedroom to the basement and eventually the shed to just conduct his experiments.
No power tools. No power tools.
So as a Boy Scout, he was working his way to Eagle Scout when he stumbled across the Atomic Energy Merit Badge, which was part of becoming an Eagle Scout, right? Requires you to make a fake model of a working nuclear reactor. So pipe cleaners and all that kind of stuff. But it
doesn't work.
To show what it would take in order for it to work, I guess. But that's one of the requirements in order to get this merit badge.
That's a stupid merit badge. What's the point of that exercise?
Apparently to make it so that somebody has the ambition to create their own.
To create supervillains. Okay.
Exactly. So Han, being no normal kid, he decided that he wanted to make a real one. A real one.
Oh, real one.
And he was going to construct a breeder reactor in his backyard. So a breeder reactor produces more fissile fuel than it consumes while generating energy. It achieves this by using fertile materials such as uranium-238 or thorium-232, which is converted into fissile materials like plutonium-239 or uranium-233 during the fission process. So this new fissile material can be used as fuel in other reactors or even the same breeder reactor. So Han's plan was breathtakingly ambitious and extremely reckless. And he had the ambition to make his own reactor, so all he needed to do was to know how and get the materials. Despite being just a teenager, he somehow managed to bypass regulations and secretly obtain the elements needed for his nuclear fission device. Posing as a college professor, he made telephone calls to several institutions that gave him free information on where to find radioactive materials and everyday items and how to build a makeshift reactor. Dude was Googling before Google was a thing. The following list is not so you go out there and replicate his efforts. I implore you, if you do this, you will likely die. That's our disclaimer.
Likely, but not completely.
So you're saying there's a chance.
I'm saying there's a chance, but you're at your own risk, right? This is the waiver that you're signing by listening further into this podcast. So you got thorium from lantern mantles. Gas lantern mantles contain thorium dioxide, a radioactive substance. Han purchased hundreds of these mantles and methodically extracted the thorium. Americium-241 from smoke detectors. Smoke detectors contain trace amounts of Americium-241, a radioactive isotope, and Han purchased over 100 smoke detectors, dismantling them to extract the americium. Yes?
Where is he getting all this money?
I'm not sure. Maybe a paper route? I don't know. But lithium from batteries. He carefully extracted lithium from standard batteries, refining the metal for his experiment. And lastly, uranium ore from, well, not lastly, but uranium ore from online suppliers. Han ordered uranium ore samples online, proving that amateur researchers can easily access nuclear materials. And radium from glow-in-the-dark clocks. Antique clocks dials contain radium paint from the early 20th century. Han scavenged old watches, carefully scraping off the radioactive coating. He discovered this by driving around with a Geiger counter and getting a large hit from an antique shop, which convinced him to look for more.
Oh my God. I'm not going antiquing anymore.
Exactly. So Han was able to acquire enough material to develop a core that with naturally began fission and would turn the materials he set up into plutonium. Held together in his mom's shed with loads of tinfoil and duct tape, he marveled at his creation, but then it dawned on him to check the device with his Geiger counter and found readings off the charts and was even able to detect high levels of radioactivity 5 houses down from his.
Oopsies.
This made Han panic, knowing that what he had created was essentially an out of control and contaminating his entire neighborhood. He knew he had to get rid of the device and packed it in the trunk of his car late at night. One of his neighbors was woken by the commotion of putting it in his car and called the police, assuming that he was stealing tires. This led to him getting pulled over by the cops, where Han quickly informed him that his car had radioactive material in it. Assuming that it was a bomb, they arrested Han and it called in an expert who determined it wasn't an explosive. So the EPA classified his shed as a Superfund site, meaning it was required federal hazardous materials cleanup. However, it took them a few weeks to even visit the site. And in the meantime, Han's mother, nervous about the scene, tossed a large amount of the items from the shed into the trash, potentially contaminating the town because the garbage truck that picked up the materials drove around the rest of its route. This revelation would eventually lead, unfortunately, to his mother unaliving herself.
Oh.
Yep. Authorities sealed off his shed due to dangerous radiation levels, and Han avoided prosecution, however, as officials saw his actions as reckless but not criminal. Nonetheless, his reputation was destroyed and his future was permanently altered. Despite the controversy, Han joined the U.S. Navy and Marine Corps, searching for structure in his life, but his fascination for radioactive materials never faded. He's actually caught tampering with nuclear substances again, which was him purchasing and scraping off the americium from smoke detectors, raising concerns about his mental state. Now, his mental health declined as a result of his mother's death and leading to substance abuse and erratic behavior. And unfortunately, in 2016, Han passed away at the age of 39 from an overdose of alcohol and fentanyl. A tragic end to essentially to a curious mind.
Wow.
Yeah, kind of a letdown, right?
Yeah, that got darker than I thought.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, students. Have a great day.
Yeah, go enjoy the sunshine.
So, summation, or kind of to wrap things up, his brilliance was, of course, undeniable, but it came without responsibility. His story exposes the danger of unchecked curiosity, proving that intelligence alone sometimes is not enough. Caution and ethics are just as important.
TKN85 says, is this the new segment going to be called Professor Rybread Bums Everyone Out?
What a buzzkill.
At least you guys were listening this time around. So thank you for attending Nerd History 101. And just a reminder, if you have ideas for a story you'd like to hear, send us a message at gamersweekpodcast@gmail.com, and we might feature your suggestion.
All right, let's try to get some liveliness back into this podcast. As we wrap it up, we're going to go ahead and wrap up this episode. Thank you for listening to episode 161 of Gamers Week Podcast, and a big thank you to Retro Game Club Podcast, Love Retro BTW, A Gamer Looks at 40 Podcast, and Pixel Pond Production Company for sponsoring this episode. Don't forget to check out their links in the show notes. And I can't do it. It's all sad now.
Did you know what, kids? Science is bad for you. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Way better.
If you want to connect with Gamers Week, follow us on Twitter, Blue Sky at Gamers Week PC. Watch us right here on Twitch at twitch.tv/Gamers Week Podcast, where we will record live every Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. Central Time.
Is this your true crime podcast narrator voice?
Yes. Sure. Email us at gamersweekpodcast@gmail.com. Visit our merch store at gamers-week-podcast.creator-spring.com. Or if you want to do it the easy way, follow the link in the show notes. And last but not least, join us on Patreon at patreon.com/gamersweek. And finally, since you've made it all the way to the end of the episode, please leave us a rating and a review to let us know how we did. We really do value your feedback. And while you're there, consider subscribing on iTunes, Spotify, or your podcast platform of choice.
Apologies to our German listeners.
No, they're probably like, oh, that was spot on. What region are you from?
That's how Donnie brings it back around to the laughs. Just be German for a while.
Yeah.
So I've decided, though, if I have a gaming or a nerd history 101 in the future, I'm going to have a disclaimer if it's a downer at the end. So it's going to be like, this is just disclaimer. This is going to get real dark. Would that be helpful? Like, temper expectations? Like, if it sounds like it's going to be fun, if it's fun, like, it's coming. Would that be less of a blow?
Yes, because like we were all invested, and all of a sudden it's like the roller coaster just went off the track and plunged into the pit, and we're like, oh, shit. Okay. Yeah.
It's okay. Jessica Starr says, good, fun, nice to catch some live.
Hey, Jessica Starr, how's it going?
We all still enjoyed it, even though you can tell we were that emotionally invested because we're all so sad now.
All right, guys, that does it for us tonight. Thank you very much for stopping in and hanging out with us on your Wednesday evening. We always do appreciate that. We will be back next Monday on Twitch as we play something live, correct?
And Blue and I decide who is going to be the March Madness Daddy.
March Madness Daddy.
Ooh,
that's right. You've got to do trivia.
There will be a trivia happening on next Monday, live here on Twitch, where Blue and Ryan will battle it out. A potpourri. It will be a grab bag of trivia questions, not just focused on video games, but everything, encompassing everything.
I like, though, how Ryan was willing to be co-daddy with you. But with me, there has to be a tiebreaker.
You get it. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's wrong with that? I understand it.
Okay. No, I see how it is. Sanity says there's too many daddies.
You can never have too many daddies.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a thing. I was trying to help out, but yeah, I don't know if that's a thing.
People ask, who's your daddy? And I said, I don't know.
Who's your daddy and what does he do?
All right, guys. Thank you very much for stopping in this Wednesday night. We do appreciate it again. And we will talk to you later and see you next week. Peace.
Adios.
Muchachos.
Bye.
Squeeze.
Lowest recorded temperature in the continental U.S. was in Montana, -69.
-60.
Yeah.
That's not like a reverse 69. It's
It's the anti-69.
you stare at each other face to face. That's it.
Well, if it's 69, you wouldn't be staring face to face.
No, if it's the anti, because you'd be upside down, but now you're just like this. So it's
Because, I mean, I'm not the math nerd here, but in terms of absolute numbers, -69 is still 69, right?
I mean, it's just with a dash in front of it. So
Yeah.
maybe it's 69 with a toy.
There you go. 69 with a little something extra.
maybe a -69 is with something like you would never do that with.
The Hangover Regret 69?
Yeah, like the 96-year-old grandma who said she'd buy you a car.
And then you wake up in the morning and she's still a 96-year-old grandma, but you don't have a car.
That reminds me of that scene from Van Wilder, right? Where he's trying to get the woman to give him, right? And he's like, wait, we didn't have to? And she's like, but aren't you glad that we did?
Dolores, what's that intoxicating scent? I have cats. Welcome to Gamers Week Uncut.
Welcome to Gamers Week Uncut.
Welcome to Gamers Week Uncut, Patrons with Benefits. This is the unscripted, patron-only bonus cast with less editing and more dirty jokes. We don't know where the conversation will go, but we're sure it will be weird.
This fish just went right on my nipple, and I'm just like,
I Google Street Fighter 6. The first search result that comes up is people think they can see Ryu's in the Street Fighter 6 reveal.
Listen up here, kids. You're not going to want to get one of those VD-STDs things, right? Make it fall off. When you go, grab a pro. You'll be doing it for America.
that was perfect.
If you want to hear weekly episodes of our patron-only bonus cast, join us at patreon.com/gamersweek.